Good morning, the clock has struck 7 and you're waking up to Ireland AM. It's Friday the 5th of August.
Coming up, we'll be taking a deep dive into the energy crisis and how gas companies can report massive profits while households across the country are struggling to meet living costs.
We'll look at the big stories making the papers this morning, including Brian Cowan speaking for the first time about his long recovery from illness.
The Premier League is back and Irish clubs won big in Europe last night. We're talking sport later this hour.
And from juggling work, family life and money, do you feel like life can be overwhelming at times? We're going to have advice after 8 on how to boost your happiness by setting aside just 10 minutes a day.
Speaking of boosting our happiness, Derek's got our weather for the weekend and he looks even happier than usual. There you are, a vision in green this morning, Derek.
Thank you, Elaine. Do you know what the best way to boost your happiness, guys, is getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning. That's the best way to boost it. Anyway, good morning, guys. We're live here from Chapel Lizard in Dublin this morning. It's a dry and settled start, a couple of showers out there this morning, but some really nice sunshine right across your Friday. And guess what, folks, back in studio, it's warming up pretty nicely because we're going to see values up to about 17 to 21 degrees. Happy Friday.
Oh, merciful hour. Now, that's not 21 degrees in total over the weekend, is it?
Yes.
Well, if it's going to be hot, if you say it's going to be hot, Derek, it must be true. It must be true.
Thank you, Derek.
What way would you boost your happiness?
Oh, I can't tell you at 7 o'clock in the morning.
What boost your happiness?
You do.
On a Friday.
Yes, you do.
Saturday and a Sunday.
Absolutely.
And who else does?
Paul does, yeah, Paul, isn't it? Hi, Paul. Yeah.
Right, let's go over to the Virgin Media News Hub. Here's Anne O'Donnell.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning. Well, the US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said China will not isolate Taiwan by preventing US officials from travelling there. China is expected to launch a second day of large-scale military drills around the island of Taiwan after Pelosi's visit to the self-governed island. China, which claims Taiwan and has threatened to annex it by force if necessary, called her visit to the island a provocation. However, Pelosi has said her visit was being used as an excuse for Chinese drills.
They may try to keep Taiwan from visiting or participating in other places, but they will not isolate Taiwan by preventing us to travel there. We've had high-level visits, senators in the spring, a bipartisan way, continuing visits, and we will not allow them to isolate Taiwan. They are not doing our travel schedule.
Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones has been ordered to pay $4 million in compensatory damages to 2 parents of Sandy Hook shooting victims. Jones had already been found liable of defaming Sandy Hook parents after he called the shooting a hoax. A separate, shorter trial on punitive damages is expected to begin today. Staying in the US now, where civil rights charges have been brought against 4 current and former police officers for their roles in the 2020 fatal shooting of a black woman, Breonna Taylor. Her death in her home sparked racial injustice protests right across the globe.
Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Breonna Taylor.
These are the first federal charges brought against any of the officers involved in the death of Breonna Taylor, who was shot dead at her home in Louisville, Kentucky on March 13, 2020. The 26-year-old hospital worker was in bed when plainclothes police detectives investigating a large drug operation stormed into her apartment shortly after midnight. Her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired a shot that hit one of the officers as they came through the door, and they returned fire, fatally striking Taylor multiple times. Neither Taylor nor Walker were persons of interest or suspects in the alleged drug case. Walker was charged with attempted murder of an officer, but the case against him was later dismissed. In 2020, the Taylor family sued Louisville police and reached a $12 million settlement. Along with the deaths of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor's death sparked anti-racism protests across the US and around the world. Helen Gleeson, Virgin Media News.
At least 13 people were killed and many more were injured when a fire broke out this morning in Thailand at a crowded music pub in the east of the country. Well, police have launched an investigation into the cause of the blaze at the Mountain Bar and Bistro in Chonburi province, southeast of Bangkok. The two remaining candidates to be the next UK Prime Minister went head-to-head in another televised debate last night. The latest clash between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak took place in front of a live studio audience made up of Conservative Party members. It comes as postal ballots are expected to be issued soon to around 160,000 eligible to vote for their next leader. And financial analysts have been reacting to the news that the UK is to go into a recession. The British economy is forecast to shrink in the last 3 months of this year and keep shrinking until the end of 2023.
I think it's very much doom and gloom from the Bank of England, not least the fact that it's decided to carry out this almost double rate hike, and that seems to signal that it is very concerned about inflation. But also when we look at the Bank of England's forecasts, it's increased its outlook in terms of inflation and it's reduced its outlook for GDP. It's now looking at a recession. So the near term does look rather desperate. I think that inflation always tends to hit low-income households hardest, and it was good that the Bank of England was clear to acknowledge that.
And it's time now to take an opening look at today's weather forecast with Derek.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Thank you, Anne, and a very good morning to you at home, or if you're indeed streaming online on the player. We're coming to you live here from the beautiful wee village of Chapel Lizard here in Dublin. We've got Conan Doyle with us now on cameras this Friday morning. So let's take an opening look at weather together as we kick-start your weekend. And I have to say, it's mainly dry and settled starts and good bright spells out there this morning, but we are seeing showers through parts of Kerry, right up the Shannon Estridge, parts of Offaly, Tullamore there in the firing line the next 15 minutes or so. Also into northern areas of parts of Donegal through Killybegs, Donegal town and in and around Derry and into County Tyrone in those light to moderate northwesterly breezes. Now right across the day into this afternoon, in fact, we're going to see a really nice pick-up in terms of that sunshine. Any showers are going to push off, and in behind some really nice rays extending right up and down the island. So a lovely finish to your Friday. Nice way to kickstart the weekend as well. Top values of 15 to 19 degrees, warmest through the sunny southeast. Finally then, tonight it looks like once again some cloud cover pushing through parts of the west and into the north. That will allow for some light rain and drizzle for a time, but elsewhere we'll clear out and we will see some mist and fog develop as those winds fall light and variable, with overnight lows back to 5 to 9 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in Chapel Lizard in Dublin at the moment. We'll catch you again back live at 7:35.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points. The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Right, let's take a look at your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. Their headline, wind farm revenues multiply as electricity prices soar. The paper details how revenue from big power companies' wind farms are multiplying as electricity prices soar, official estimates show.
My fight for life, that's the front page of the Irish Independent. Former Taoiseach Brian Cowan spoke for the first time about a long recovery from a stroke to the paper.
The Examiner leads with siblings drown on Kerry Beach. The paper gives an account of a brother and sister who died in a swimming tragedy in Kerry yesterday as the man's shocked teenage son looked on from the beach.
Moving on to the tabloids now, and swimming horror on Kerry Beach is also the front page of the Daily Mail.
And the Mirror also lead with that same story. Brother and sis drown in Hall's horror.
The Sun's headline reads, Delaney's newborn baby joy amid the tears. Former FAI chief John Delaney yesterday told at getting to introduce his late mum to his newborn daughter before she died.
And the Star goes with that same story. Glad mum got to meet my new baby.
And the Herald leads with swim coach on child exploitation charges. The paper reporting that a swimming coach has appeared in court charged with the sexual exploitation of 3 girls.
Right, there's plenty of time for you to get in touch with us this morning. You can text us for free on WhatsApp. The number is 0896 111 111.
You can email irelandam@virginmedia.ie.
And you can find us at Ireland AM VMTV on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
They've stopped giving me that read because I keep saying Facebook instead of Facebook now. After the break, we're talking energy costs and how we've gotten to a point where 29% of households can't meet their bills. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. By now, you've all heard about Bord Gáis's profit line of 74% last week and the nearly 30% of households who can't afford their skyrocketing energy bills. So how has it come to this?
Well, joining us now to break it all down is Economist Muireann Lynch from the ERSI. Thank you so much.
Morning, Muireann.
From the ESRI. Thank you for joining us this morning. First of all, can you explain to me and to our viewers what operating profits actually are? Because there's so many terms being bandied about and companies are saying, well, this is not the real money that's back in our pocket. So what does it actually mean when we're looking at massive figures like we have in the millions for Bord Gáis?
Yeah, so when we're talking about operating profits, we're talking about just kind of like what did they make on, I suppose, not necessarily the long run parts of their business. So that's not necessarily taking into account kind of like investments that they might have made 10 years ago.
But is it still a year-on-year profit?
Yes.
Free and clear?
Yes. Well, yes. But in the case of Bord Gáis, there are particular circumstances in that. I don't know if you remember this time last year, we were all afraid that we were going to have blackouts because there were 2 gas generators that had basically broken. They were offline. Bord Gáis owned one of them. So last year... Exactly. Yeah. So last year, that station was making no money at all because it was offline, whereas this year it's been back online, so it's making more money. So the difference between the 2 years is huge, but the difference maybe compared to previous years, it's still big, but it's not as huge as that 74%.
But did Bord Gáis, did they not make a profit last year as well?
Oh, no,
despite this.
Yeah, and you have to remember
it's just
as
more
well,
profit on top of that.
Yeah, and you have to remember as well that Bord Gáis is a privately owned company now. Like, it's not even one of the state-owned companies, and it's got a parent company and all of that. And as well as that, complicating things further, a lot of these energy companies, including ESB, which is state-owned, they have operations in Great Britain as well. They have generation there, and some of the, while things are bad here, it's even worse in Britain in some ways. So they're making even more money in Britain, and that kind of feeds into their profits here as well.
The key, some would say the key to us understanding the whole fossil fuel crisis and how it's affected energy companies might be through knowing the difference between generator and supply companies. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so any time a price goes up, that's really bad for the person who wants to buy the good, but it's really good for the person who wants to sell the good, right? So we tend to think of it in terms of, well, the energy companies sell the energy and the people at home buy the energy. But it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. There are different generation companies, or there are different energy companies. So there are some energy companies who they might buy gas, they turn it into electricity, and they sell the electricity. Then there are other energy companies who buy electricity, and then they sell it to the likes of us. So if you're a generation company, for sure, your profits have probably gone up. But if you're a supply company, you're probably actually really feeling the pressure because the electricity that you're buying has gone very high.
So when it comes to Bord Gáis in particular, because that's what I suppose a lot of people are focused on today, is Bord Gáis generating their gas in Ireland, or are they buying from the UK and further afield? Because the demand worldwide has gone up, and therefore the cost worldwide has gone up in the last, ever before the war in Ukraine hit. So where does the Irish gas come from that we consume in our homes?
Right, so there's 2 different questions. Where does the Irish gas come from, and then where does Bord Gáis in particular, whomever buy their gas? So in terms of Irish gas supplies, we have our Carib field. That's the only field in Ireland that's producing any gas, and about 30% of our gas comes from that. And Carib will take that gas out of the ground and sell it to a multitude of companies, including presumably Bord Gáis. And then the balance of our gas comes from Great Britain, and it comes through we only have one link. It's called the Moffat pipeline, and it goes from County Derry over to Scotland. And so what would happen is, if you wanted to set up a gas unit tomorrow, you would decide who do you want to buy your gas from. You'd set up contracts with various companies, and you might get it from British companies which come over the pipeline. You might get it from Carib. So it's all quite complicated.
Yeah. So it's basically it's a supply and demand. But there's been accusations both in here in the UK and abroad, because Centrica, who owns Bord Gáis, they're a major player in the UK and they're interested in North America. Now they've been accused of price gouging everywhere. And similarly, we're looking at Electric Ireland, ESB, and their profits have gone up, not only this year, but last year as well. Now, we don't know about this year yet. We'll know early next year about the 2022 profits. But, I mean, we're looking at a scenario now. If you look at the announcements at the end of June, start of July for August, where both their gas and their electricity prices are going up from this month. Their profits have gone up from this month, but they're different to Bord Gáis in that they're a semi-state company. Now, they're looking at a political quagmire if they're seen to be making these huge profits, which they could easily be projected to do. And there's people whose bills have gone up in a ridiculous amount and they can't afford to heat their homes. I mean, how will they justify what's going on there? Because if we did, they went up 10% last year alone, never mind with all the increases this year.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I want to say is there's no doubt that there are a huge number of households who are seriously feeling the cost of living crisis across the board, but particularly in energy. And whatever we do, we have to make sure that we target those vulnerable households. Unfortunately, we can't protect everybody from the effects of war. So whatever the policy response
Before
is...
the war ever happened, they were making massive profits.
Well, we'll get to the profits in a sec, but just to say that we need to make sure that the vulnerable households in particular are protected. On the profits, the funny thing about the ESB is they're actually constrained in the extent to which they can use their profits to offset increased consumer prices. And the reason for that is because they're supposed to keep their generation arms and their retail arms completely separate. Yeah. So if their generation arm makes a whole load of money, but their retail arm is under pressure, they're not actually able to take money from their generation arm and give it to their retail arm.
Where does the government dividend come from then, the 126 million that they got last year? Does that come from the retail or the generation?
So that would come from ESB Group. So the whole thing.
So the whole group can give the money to the government, but they have to keep them. Is it legally they have to keep them separately?
Legally they have to keep them separate.
Okay,
whereas if you compare that to the likes of, let's say, Energia or electricity, they would be able to take their big profits on the generation side and use it to put downward pressures on their bills on the retail side.
Can it be changed to even that up? I mean, because it is a semi-state, could the government just say, right, in general, we own you, so we need more money, thank you very much, and let the consumer pay less? Because I know we're all getting the 200 quid or whatever we've got so far, but is that where that money's coming from that dividend?
No, well, I mean, the dividend just goes to the government and then the €200 just came from the government, but there was no explicit link there. Legally, there would be huge problems with... there are good reasons to have that break between the generation and the supply arms of the ESB, because the idea is otherwise they would, because they're so big, and it would have big problems for competition in the market. But what I would say is one thing that does help in bringing prices down in any market, but including energy, is competition. And we don't have great competition in energy markets in general. We know it's a problem. The Irish market is also not particularly competitive either, particularly on the generation side, actually. So you'd want to be very careful of, we like to talk about the law of unintended consequences. Whatever you do, you don't want to make things worse in another area, because that could lead to huge problems down the line if we wind up with even less competition. If the market is completely competitive, you can't have price gouging. It's just not possible. So if price gouging is going on, and maybe it is, if it's going on because we don't have enough competition. So the last thing you want to do is have even less.
It just makes sense, no sense, I think, to the normal consumer why this can't be fixed. Why it can't be fixed if the main body and the main generator of electricity in the state is making these massive profits. Why it can't be spread out to everybody? I suppose that's what... I'm no economist, that's why you're here, obviously. It just doesn't make sense, because today as well, the wind generators, we've seen that... they're also doing really, really well across the board. Yes, the price for that has gone up too.
So
it's baffling.
Okay, on the wind, that's okay. If you wanted to sign a contract with somebody who supplied you with exclusively wind energy, then the price of that would never go up. You'd just sign a contract on the basis of how much it costs them to build their turbine, and congratulations, you're completely insulated from the cost of gas. However, try coming downstairs on a day when there's no wind and boiling your kettle.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to avail of the fact that your wind is completely unexposed to fossil fuel prices, they have to also be willing to take on the fact that their electricity supply will be completely variable and not really controllable. So the reason why, even though a lot of companies have a lot of wind, the reason why those companies are still having to put up their prices is essentially because in order to supply you all the time, when there's no wind available, they have to buy electricity to sell to you.
We're almost out of time, Erin, but the Irish Times are reporting on calls for a windfall tax for gosh. Is that feasible, do you think?
Well, I think there's just a kind of a call for windfall taxes across the board. Certainly the way the old wind subsidies was designed was really poor, and it meant that in the event of bumper prices, they would be making windfall gains. And I don't know why it was designed the way it was. The new subsidy scheme does not have that flaw. But the problem is a lot of the old wind on the system is still under the old system. So they are making windfall gains right now. And then across the board, other generation companies and maybe supply companies are making windfall gains. I do think it will be difficult to find out, to design a way of coming up with a windfall gain tax or whatever that applied kind of fairly across the board, that actually found who's making actual gains, who's using their gains to offset on the other side, I think will certainly be challenging to do.
Not impossible.
No, absolutely not. And it's, you know, the Taoiseach has said it looks like it's on the agenda that it should be examined. And I think that's absolutely right.
Not
We should
impossible,
always
but very
examine everything.
complicated.
Yeah, super complicated.
We take complicated over the increases that we're projected to have during the winter. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And now stay with us for more fantastic news. We'll take a look through this morning's papers after the break.
Welcome back. Time for a look at the stories making the headlines this morning, including speculation of a possible windfall tax on electricity companies.
Joining us now is Owen Tomás McDermott, Managing Director of the Communications Clinic. Good morning, Owen.
Good morning, sir. How are we?
I'm mighty. How are you?
Good.
Thrilled altogether to be here.
Let's talk about a potential windfall tax. Will it happen?
It might. Micheál Martin said there is a fair chance that it would happen, and this is because the energy companies are making significant profits, and we do know that there is a cost of living crisis, and so that Micheál Martin is saying, given that they're making profits, perhaps there should be a windfall tax. He's not the only one, though. The UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, said yesterday as well that, in fact, that given that the energy companies across Europe were making significant profits, and yet the people of Europe are facing this cost of living crisis, not just in Ireland but elsewhere, that in fact he described it as immoral that they were making the profits on the backs of their customers, and in fact that there should be a windfall tax, and he was encouraging all states around the globe to have a windfall tax.
But realistically,
you never know, because in fact, you know, obviously the companies themselves have a fiduciary duty to make profits. They are profit-making entities. So the likelihood of them dropping their prices is low, but that in fact that the government may look and say objectively that there is, you're making enough profits and perhaps there could be a windfall tax there. So it is certainly on the table and being up for discussion. Also, part of the Irish Times had a story around the price of electricity generated by wind, and this came from a report from the Commission for the Regulation of Utilities that said that the price that generators of electricity were able to make on the wholesale market, so the wholesale market is where generators and suppliers meet to trade electricity, that they're actually making 6 times the amount of money that they were predicted to make 2 years ago. And it just turns out that the ESB, Energia and SSC Electricity all generate electricity from wind farms as well. So that you can see
up their prices.
So you can see that there is a question. Now, they've all been asked, are you going to have an impact? And they're saying, well, you know, it's very complicated and it's very volatile and it's very difficult. So they are saying probably not. But Micheál Martin did, as I said, mention it yesterday when he was asked about it.
They do need a boot. Anyway, enough of me ranting about that. I'm very cross about it all anyway. What else are we going to talk about this morning?
We're going to talk about recession in the UK.
Yay!
Yes.
So it's been announced that they're going to be in recession for a period of time. What's the effect on us potentially?
Well, the effect on us wouldn't be great because a recession would tend to lead to a lack of spending power, for example, in the people in the country where a recession is happening. And given that 30% of our exports go to Britain, it's not particularly attractive. The Bank of England released their forecast yesterday, and really the technical definition of a recession is that you have to have 2 quarters of successive drops in GDP, and that is what they're predicting to happen in Britain. We know that, for example, they've increased their interest rates by the Bank of England by almost 2% since January. So even that will have an impact on mortgage holders, for example. We know that they're having huge inflation up in the high teens again. So that's, again, difficult for people living in Britain. So all told, it's not really a great vista for the British economy looking to the next couple of years. And Sorry, are we buffered enough to kind of survive the knock-on effects of that? Well, like the $5 billion deficit has gone up to 7 point something, is it? Yeah, there will naturally be a knock-on to us. And if you look at what's happening in the United States as well, they're entering into probably a recessionary period as well. There tends to have to, if you look at the history of what happens when you have high inflation, then higher interest rates, that tends to lead to an element of unemployment, which leads to a cooling down of the system, that there's a kind of a cyclical process around it. So you would say that there is an inevitability, perhaps, that there may be a slowing within the Irish economy. Maybe not necessarily a recession, but certainly headwinds and a slowing that
maybe
we can expect within it.
We're not as badly affected as we used to be, or will we? Or, you know, are we a little bit more protected?
Yeah, totally. But I also think that many of us remember recession to be the horrific recession of 2008, whereas it may not be as deep and as long as that one, but in fact, maybe more shallow and not necessarily quite as significant. But it will be still significant for people. When you think about energy prices, as we have just discussed, have gone up. Interest rates are probably going to go back up. Food prices. So this all has an impact. So Micheál Martin again was talking yesterday that there will be a parallel cost of living package that goes along with the budget on the 27th of September, which again, the hope is that it will be significant.
We have some good news though this morning for any of those people who have been watching politics and the landscape in the States over the last few months. Not that I'm biased in any way.
Incredible television.
Alex Jones, InfoWars, that big misinformation peddling Aegis, and I don't think I'm pulling any punches there. He is after landing himself, or his lawyers are after landing him in a whole heap of trouble. Tell our lovely viewers what happened.
Well, your biography of him is is a pretty accurate one. He is an alt-right, far-right conservative who peddles misinformation and lies. And he has peddled it across a whole load of subjects, from the 1969 moon landing to the 95 Oklahoma bombing to 9/11, and then in the 2012 slaughtering of 26 people in Sandy Hook, which is what has ended up happening now. He called it lots of different things. He said that it was a false flag by the gun management lobby or the people who are against guns. He said that there were crisis actors involved. He said it didn't happen. And we do know that 26 people were murdered. 6 of them were teachers, and then the other 20 people were 6 to 7 year olds.
In terms of what unfolded this week, though, I mentioned great television because he was in the witness box and something was brought to light. It was gripping to watch it. So talk us through this.
Yeah, well, it came out that it was defamation. He made it up. He didn't have any evidence, and that this is not that any of us were surprised by it, but it is again hugely significant. Hugely significant because it happened in Texas, which again is not a liberal state, is in fact a conservative state, but also significant because it is the first time that his pocket has been hit for what his mouth has said.
The parents, basically, Sandy Hook parents basically were suing him.
Yeah, so there's a couple of cases against him. There's a couple of cases in Connecticut with parents and FBI agents who were involved in it, and this case was parents in Texas as well who were bringing defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress on them.
So
his
cost
lawyers,
him $4 million. His lawyers sent the other lawyer all of the telephone information,
all of his text messages.
That he'd lied, and the cross-examination was incredible. You know, can I remind you, and I'll read you back your testimony that you gave in that seat. You said that you had no information, you'd never said, and yet it's all here. I have it all in front of me.
And you see, this is, I think, the element where people who make pronouncements publicly without any evidence, with zero evidence, and do it in a way that really it's inflammatory and is setting out to stoke a fire, or it is setting out to hurt people's feelings, ultimately need to be held to account to it and made pay, one would say.
But does it shut him down?
Well, it should shut him down. It's unclear again what his assets are. Like, there's the discussion. He said he had about 8 million.
And who's backing him?
It's thought to be maybe 50 million, and who's backing him. But we do know that this is certainly a significant, like $4 million is significant, and there are other cases coming. So we may expect and hope that it might.
He was making up to 800 grand a day on that, and the fact that his lawyers messed up by sending basically damning evidence to the other. You wonder, was it that much of an accident? I mean, come on, it just stretches the realms of possibility for a massive mistake of that proportions to happen. But he's going to. Are they deliberating now, I think, into how much costs are going to be awarded against him?
Yeah, well, they've said that there's already $4 million. There's deliberation on other costs, but the interesting thing is perhaps through the disclosure process that this ultimately had to come out. Otherwise, the lawyers may have been found themselves in a bit of trouble.
We're almost out of time. We've about half a minute left to talk about Brian Cowan, who's given an interview.
Yeah, it was the first public appearance in a long, long time. He was at the Fleadh Cheoil in Mullingar yesterday, where he was being honoured for his support of Comhaltas Ceol Tóirí Éireann through his political life, where, for example, he ensured that they got a multi-million euro investment into the good work that they do. He was pictured on the front page of the Irish Times and then interviewed in the Irish Independent, where it was predominantly around a recent illness he had. 3 years ago, he had a serious stroke and brain hemorrhage, and has been rehabilitating since, and that there are the pictures of him looking healthier and he says he's feeling stronger and looking forward to a further improvement in his health.
And as he says in the article, he was in a serious fight.
Serious fight. I think he was in a coma for a number of weeks, if not months, and that, as we know, for anybody who has had a stroke, that the rehabilitation process can be long.
It's a long road back. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Muireann.
Right, sports up after the break, and we're looking back on another good night in Europe for the League of Ireland. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. The Premier League returns tonight after an absence of what felt like about a good 10 minutes. Broadcaster Jonathan Higgins joins me to talk through this morning's big sports stories. And we'll start, Jonathan, with another good night in Europe for the League of Ireland. So with three of the teams were over on duty. Sligo got done, and got done pretty badly, didn't they? But good results for the two.
They did. Two out of three, I guess, it isn't bad. We were hoping for the clean sweep. There's been a good bit of momentum in Irish football, particularly League of Ireland football, in recent years, or even the last couple of weeks with European results. But yeah, no, Sligo, I felt for them now, I have to say.
That's one that it doesn't look like they'll be able to turn that around. But look, it's a two-legged affair, but 5-1.
Yeah, it's a bit. And the goal, Crawley's goal, came from penalty in consolation time and injury time, so it doesn't really give them much, and much to cling on. Though I believe they've sold out the showgrounds already. But it's still being
a funny old game, mate.
It is, but God, you're clutching at straws there now.
Rovers, great win.
Fantastic. Yeah, Scoopy or whatever. It was I think we're having a bit of fun with the pronunciations there as well. The Gary O'Neill goal right at the death, because it just looked like it had been such a good start by Rovers. You saw Gaffney and Watts combining together absolutely exceptionally. Such a quick tempo to start off the game. 2 goals up, and you look like they're singing, but it just got more difficult after half time, and an absolute wonder goal then to bring them back into it. But a red card that kind of changed the course of the game. And I felt like at that stage, you saw the Scoopy goalkeeper going down injured, trying to milk it, trying to roll it out. They were just waiting to
get
the 2-1 and go back down to Shannon, despite all their statements, get out the road.
But that makes it
that's
very
a big goal.
You
compare that goal to the one that they conceded in Ludogorets.
Absolutely,
night and day.
And a good win for Pats as well.
Remarkable scenes.
Great win.
That goal, just the manner of it as well, with the interception and the little flick around the keeper, and one of those moments where you knew it was in before it was actually over the line.
Cracking goal.
What a result that is.
That's a serious result away.
Unbelievable, because there's a big gulf between the rankings there as well, and Pats are, we saw Bows going such a run last year in Europe. It looks like Pats here are that's such a good result.
So good for those individual clubs, but great for the league in terms of the cost.
Just imagine the stories as well coming back from the guys that were lucky enough to be at that.
I'd say that the lads had a quiet night.
I'd say so, yeah.
Last night in bed by 10, I'd imagine. Right, let's move over to the Premier League. It's back. Has it been gone that long?
Has it really been gone? It's probably a more apt question, really, isn't it?
So it kicks off tonight. Crystal Palace hosting Arsenal tonight. Let's talk about that game first of all, and then we'll talk about the season. But Arsenal, decent transfer window.
Big season for Arsenal, big season for Arteta as well. You'd have to question the wisdom of putting out that documentary the day before the season starts as well. I confess I haven't watched it all, but some of the clips that I've seen are a bit like, ugh.
Nothing Arteta can do about that.
Would I really want this coming out from a football club? But yeah, they've had a good pre-season. Signed cleverly, or it appears on paper they've signed cleverly. You look at the two City guys that they've got. Jesus, big season for him as well.
He's going to be the main man there now.
Main man, back onto his former coach that likes to put the hand around the shoulder. Big opportunity. Be playing week in, week out. You would suspect. Palace is probably a little bit more difficult as well. Big season for Vieira as well. Gallagher's a huge loss for them.
Back to Chelsea,
how will they react with the whole second season syndrome and pushing on? This is the question now. They've got to that level. How do you get to the next level?
They have a decent record against Arsenal. They've only lost one of the last 8 Premier League games.
They have, but how much is that really going to question tonight? Like you're looking at Arsenal, really, if they have any aspirations of getting to the position that they want to be and that they're back to be by their board.
We'll do a deeper dive into the Premier League season tomorrow, but just as we have you here in terms of predictions, how many points Liverpool are going to win it by, do you think?
A good 9, is it? It's back to the old thing. It's interesting, without going too deep in it. City and Liverpool have both kind of copied each other in terms of a little bit of a reshuffle up top. Both gone for more of an old school number 9. That will take time to develop for both, you would feel. But I think, everyone's talking about Spurs coming through. Yeah. Arsenal pushing on, Chelsea, they were everybody's favourite last year. Now they're a little bit more behind, but I think it is going to be another Liverpool and City scrap. Look, we'll see how it goes. I think it's one that could be very close again. It's
another tight one.
I don't think anybody can say with any great form of conviction which way will go out of the two. Like, I'll maybe edge towards Liverpool having a bit more momentum and a bit of hurt from last year, perhaps the way the season ended. I think Núñez might settle in a little bit quicker than Haaland will at City, but it's a toss up. The two of them are so far ahead of the head. But
so City or Liverpool?
Absolutely, but just a quick one. Anyone doing their fantasy football 6:30 this evening is the cut-off point, because that will catch a lot of people out.
And that is huge. It does start tonight at 7 o'clock. So if you're doing fantasy football, get your team
6:30 tonight
by 6:30
for the offices and whatnot.
Exactly. So let's move over then to golf and the Women's Open yesterday up in Scotland. Leona Maguire. Decent start.
Steady. I think she described it as steady as well, and even par, 6 off the lead. In with a shout. And
once you get yourself to the weekend, decent round today, and then she's in the mix.
Seen it so many times before, as well. Being in the mix is the key here. But yeah, look, it'll probably be a little bit of a challenge. You see some of the leader whose name has slipped out of my mind was on fire with the putter yesterday. So
significant though as well that of where it's at, where it's being played in terms of Muirfield. Tell us why it's significant.
Well, it's a big statement, really, isn't it? The way the game has grown there as well, and probably a little more eyes, and the whole golf world is a bit at the moment with live and whatnot. But
but the fact that women weren't allowed play in the place, like this, up to a couple of years ago,
just like there's so many of those old outdated stuff that's thankfully getting pushed to one side. And
well, let's hope she's a decent round today and get
today's key, really, isn't it? I think
the weekend, we'll move over then to Kilkenny. Derek Lyng announced as Brian Cody's successor. What a job to take. It's like taking over from Fergie, isn't it?
Yeah, you're just waiting for Cody to come now, and your job is to stand behind the new manager here, sort of quotes, aren't you?
What do you think?
Look, it's probably the most Kilkenny appointment out there. So many names were bandied around, even as opposed to yesterday. You were looking at all the other names as 5 or 6 credible candidates that had been every day linked and odds on for the job almost. They've gone back with, I suppose, the more sensible approach. Somebody has been recently under 20 manager, has served under Cody as well as selector, heavily involved in coaching and development. Maybe not as the whole limelight approach as maybe some of the bigger names that could have been. Like, can you imagine the reaction if we were discussing an Eddie Brennan or Henry Shefflin coming back? So it's a little bit more, and the way they've done it as well, it's just, we heard there was a county board meeting going to be last night and a possible discussion, and then boom, yesterday evening, and there you go, here's a new manager. So I think, to credit to them, they got that done really, really well. You look at, like, take Mayo, for example, trying to recruit a manager. Seems to be a basket case at the moment. They've just got their job done quickly. It's probably needed as well, given a legacy of 24 years, about 11 All-Irelands and such.
And as you say, he's been there and done it in terms of watching Cody and working way through the ranks.
Still a big job, though.
We wish him the very best.
Absolutely. He'll need it.
He'll need it. Thanks, John. Good to see you. Right, we take a quick break. Stay with us. We are live until 10. See you later. Welcome back to Ireland AM. We're here to push your Friday feeling right up to 10.
10 o'clock or up to 10 in this game?
This one goes to 11.
Now, coming up this hour, with the cost of living crisis causing a lot of stress in our lives, we'll have advice on dealing with those worries. I most certainly need it. We're discussing mental health.
And of course, after that, we'll be sucking in our bellies and squeezing into spandex. No, I'm not getting into drag again. To learn more about the world of cosplay before this weekend's Comic Con.
Are you heading away on your holidays and still don't know if you need to bring your entire skincare collection with you? We've got tips for your beauty travel essentials. I could write a paper on it.
Say you could. Now, Rosalind is looking after fashion today, and they're all frozen out here in the garden today for a very good reason.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. What have we got today?
Well, wedding season is upon us. Whether you're staying in Ireland, you're staying local, or you're going to a destination wedding, we have you covered from formal, as we see here on Yumiko, to semi-formal. This look is from Oh Hello Clothing with beautiful jewellery from Betty and Biddy, and we've got loads more gorgeous looks to show you.
Right, let's check on your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. Their headline, wind farm revenues multiply as electricity prices soar. The paper details how revenue from big power companies' wind farms are multiplying as electricity prices soar, official estimates show.
My fight for life, that's the front page of the Irish Independent. Former Taoiseach Brian Cowan spoke for the first time about long recovery from stroke to the paper.
The Examiner leads with siblings drown on Kerry Beach. The paper gives an account of a brother and sister who died in a swimming tragedy in Kerry yesterday as the man's shocked teenage son looked on from the beach.
Moving on to the tabloids now, and swimming horror on Kerry Beach is also the front page of the Daily Mail.
And the Mirror also leading with that same story. Their headline, brother and sis drown in Hall's horror.
The Sun's headline reads, Delaney's newborn baby joy amid the tears. Former FAI chief John Delaney yesterday told at getting to introduce his late mum to his newborn daughter before she died.
The Star goes with that same story. Glad mum got to meet my new baby.
And the Herald leads with swim coach on child exploitation charges. The paper reporting that a swimming coach has appeared in court charged with the sexual exploitation of 3 girls.
So, can I ask the two of you?
Please
are you
do.
fans of Lady Gaga?
Oh, listen,
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
What's her dance again? Poker face?
Poker face.
How'd you do it? No, that's folk.
That's kind of similar, though.
Thank you.
But listen, her acting abilities, have you seen her in A Star is Born? Have you seen, like, no. OK, now I'm playing to the wrong crowd here.
I have a bit.
Aren't her fans known as Little Monsters?
Little Monsters.
American Horror Story, she was good.
Yeah, she was good in that. She's currently on tour with the Chromatica Ball, obviously, but...
With the what?
The Chromatica Ball, which is the name of her tour.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's just her... Because she comes up with concepts for her tour. But she's just been confirmed. Now, rumours kind of were rife the last couple of weeks that she might be appearing in a new film. And as of yesterday, due to a trailer that went out, they've just confirmed
She's going to be in Carnage Street.
Fair City for the next year. No, she's going to be in Joker, the sequel, which obviously Joker was a huge film.
As in Joaquin Phoenix
Joaquin
Joker?
Phoenix's, yeah. She is now going to play... She's going to play Harley Quinn.
So she's taken over the role from Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. Obviously, Margot Robbie played it originally, and they've just released a little teaser trailer. Nothing, she's not in it, but they just got a tiny, tiny little teaser trailer.
Do we have it?
I don't know, do we have it actually? No, we don't have it. No. But there's nothing to it. All it is just kind of figures of Joaquin Phoenix, figures of her, and a little bit of music kind of underneath it.
I didn't think that was a film that was ripe for a sequel.
It's going to be a musical.
It's going to be a musical.
Oh, no. OK.
Can you think of anything worse
than a Joker musical?
Yeah.
I can, yeah.
What?
I'm not mentioning it. No, I can think of several worse things.
It's normal. It's normal for TV shows to kind of go into musicals, but I've never actually seen a film, especially a sequel like this, go into a musical. Now, I don't think it would get the green light if it was going to be really bad, like really, really bad. And obviously, Lady Gaga, you know, A Star is Born was a huge hit, so you kind of wonder whether it's going to be.
So he won the Oscar for it, didn't he?
He won the Oscar for it. I thought she'd won an Oscar, and you were like, no, she hasn't. The song, A Star is Born, won an Oscar. You never know. She could be.
What was the song again?
Shallow.
Frozen.
Sorry.
Something.
Yeah.
Shallow. Yeah.
But
like, there's been some clangers made recently. Sure, Batgirl has been shelved by Warner Brothers. It's gone kaput. They haven't even finished the post-production of it, and there was Michael Keaton was in that, who was original Batman, of course, Bruce Wayne, and you had Brendan Fraser. People going mad that he's gone.
Filming that in Scotland.
Can you imagine? Can you just imagine how disgusted you'd be?
And imagine being a young actor at your first big break, and you actually you get the part, you shoot the movie. When's it coming out? It's not.
Is it the greed of the studios now because they see the amount of money that's made in the first one, and then now they're getting, oh, we'll get Gaga, she'll be great on this, pay her a load of money and let her off into it, and they're going to ruin it now?
Or maybe she's right for the part.
Or maybe she's right for the part.
Not all movie execs are cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. But do you remember Paul, Gaga? Like, she's well known for her beautiful outfits and her gorgeous...
She wore a dress of meat once.
She wore a dress of meat, but she's a great fan of a particular Irish designer, Paula Rowan, who has these amazing gloves, and they're fabulous, big, long ones. But also Gaga's known for her amazing shoes. And every girl loves a shoe.
Yes.
A fabulous shoe. But did you know, when it comes to our holidays, lads, that girls, we overpack when it comes to what's on our feet?
Really?
There is a shock. But on average, the females of the country will bring 6 pairs of shoes on holidays. I'd say he brings more than that. We only wear 2 of them. Now, when you go on your holidays...
That's very low. I would have thought it was more than 6.
I used to bring an awful lot.
Flip-flops and
the
slip-ons.
whole shebang.
No.
I only ever end up wearing 2 pairs. I bring loads and I end up wearing 2 pairs. A gold pair of fit-flops and I've a black pair of fit-flops. Not the flip-flops, because I'm old and my back is bandaged, so I have to have the cushiony ones.
You're not old, love.
I'm older than I was when I was young, wearing the high heels.
You're older than you were yesterday, but you're not old. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm maturing like fine wine or crumbly cheese.
The pair that I'm wearing.
That's it.
Yeah, sure, what else would you need?
Your dress shoe. You've got your dress shoe, you've got your day runner, you've got
You've been on holidays with 4 kids. When are you in a dress shoe?
Well, apparently women bring a pair of shoes for the plane. A pair of flip-flops, 3 going out pairs of shoes, and 1 more casual pair of shoes. What would you bring?
I went to Cork and I brought 7 pairs of shoes. And that wasn't even just for drag. Drag had 5, 6 pairs of shoes.
Did you walk there? Why would you need 7 pairs of shoes in Cork?
Just because I was going to different events and different things, and I kind of thought, well, what
shoes?
that will go with that.
I'm blaming Amy.
I'm
blaming Amy Hooverman for my shoe problems.
Don't blame Amy for
It's all Amy's fault. The lovely, he calls them my quality street shoes.
Oh, the purple
They're Amy Hoover ones. And these ones are as well, but these are like everyday shoes.
That's an everyday.
That's an everyday.
Course.
Yeah,
they're very neutral.
They're very neutral.
Neutral,
they
they're
are.
tan colour.
But yours are very neutral as well for a
they're
fella.
very neutral, yeah. How many pairs do you or your significant other take with you? You can text us for free on the WhatsApp. The number on the WhatsApp.
On the WhatsApp.
If they're getting the call, but on the WhatsApp. The number's 0896 111.
If you're going on holidays this morning, actually, take a picture of your suitcase.
How many pairs of shoes, lads?
How many in it?
And listen, you can email irelandam@virginmedia.ie.
And, of course, you can find us at IrelandAMVMTV on Facebook. I said it properly. Twitter and Instagram.
Right, coming up, a practical guide to dealing with life's stresses. We've expert advice after the break, Stephen.
You're very welcome back. Now, modern life can be a minefield for stress, whether it's juggling work, family life or money, and we can often forget to make time for ourselves, which can have a negative impact on our mood and mental health.
Psychotherapist and Sunday Times best-selling author Owen O'Kane has released a new book entitled How to Be Your Own Therapist, which offers short techniques to help you boost your mood and reduce anxiety. Owen, good morning. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
A pleasure. We'll get to those little tips that you might share with our viewers later on, but let's talk about the book in terms of putting it together. Why this book? Why now?
It's an interesting one. I really struggled with the third book and what would I write about. And I thought from the beginning I'd want to write a book about how to be your own therapist. And at the time I was told, oh, don't do it. People won't want to buy a book on therapy. It's big in America, but not in the UK and Ireland. And then I really started to think people are really struggling at the moment, more than I've seen in a long time. I mean, we've got so much going on, cost of living, Ukrainian war, pandemic. I mean, it's been a relentless uphill struggle for a lot of people. And a lot of people can't get therapy. I mean, wait lists are high and therapy's expensive. So
self-help is what people are turning to?
Well, I think so. And I think for me, look, ultimately, no therapist has the answer anyway. Ultimately, people most of the time know what to do, but they just get a bit lost. And, I kind of thought, well, why don't I write a book on helping people, find their own way forward. Look, it's not a replacement for one-to-one therapy, and I don't claim it to be that, but I think, some help is better than no help. Yeah. And if people are overwhelmed and struggling, well then...
And you've massive amounts of experience in the field, of course, if you're medically and psychologically. So you mentioned there that people are struggling more than ever that you've seen. Now, is it a combination of the political situation we're in, or COVID, or just everything, life in general becoming a lot more catastrophic because there's so much happening in the world, and it can be overwhelming, particularly if you're prone to feeling low and if you're prone to any anxiety or mental health disorders?
I think it's a good point. I mean, I think a lot of people can be prone to struggle more, but what I'm discovering is people who traditionally wouldn't have struggled are having a tough time at the moment. And I think even if you think of the pandemic, I mean, you know, been locked away for 2 years, routines changing, people not connecting with each other, all of the constant headlines about fear. I mean, you can't live through that for 2 years and come out unaffected. I did a piece about 1.5 years ago, and I coined the phrase post-pandemic stress disorder, and I talked about the likely impact when the pandemic was over. And I think that's what we're seeing now, you know, increased anxiety, people's moods are dipping up and down, people are feeling overwhelmed, stress. And I think the pandemic is one part of it, but then, you know, you don't need me to tell you what the headlines are like.
Do you think we've scratched the surface in terms of post-pandemic stress disorder, you know, in terms of what you guys are going to see in terms of your therapy rooms, etc.?
Sadly, I think we're only seeing the beginning of it. I mean, for me, it's interesting. I'm interested in trauma. I grew up in Northern Ireland, so I've always had an interest in treating trauma. And you never really see the impact of trauma at the time.
Yes,
You'll normally see it a few months, 6 months, a year later. But I think when you've kind of got a constant backlog of stuff and you keep getting something called, when do we get an end? You know, when are we going to get a period when things start to level? People begin to struggle. But I mean, I guess the good news in all of this is my argument would be that whatever's going on in the external world, the one thing that you can control is your internal world. Yeah. And that's what the book's about, really.
And are you, you know, you said you grew up in Northern Ireland, and you've talked in the past about using techniques for yourself and for your own life, course, you know. And tell us what you were dealing with, you know, back in the day, and how you dealt with it.
It's an interesting one because when I grew up there, it's a fascinating place to grow up. You know, I grew up during the Trouble, so it was, you know, literally, I did a TED talk recently called "Bombs, Bullets, Bullying, and a Piano" because it was all bombs and bullets, really. But when you're there, that was all very normal. So when I grew up there, it didn't feel abnormal for all that stuff to be going on. It was only when I moved away to London, I suddenly realised, you know, so it was kind of almost like the impact kind of hit me when I left. And I suddenly realised, God, that wasn't normal. You know, and my mates in London would laugh, you know, a bang, you know, I'd hear a loud bang or something, I'd suddenly jump and I'd react more than my mates would do. And I think it was just small things like that I realised, actually, you're hardwired to be fearful and to be on guard all of the time. So I guess in my line of work, I mean, I think as therapists, you know, we're professionals and we're trained to do what we do. But I think you've also got to be truthful about your own story. You know, I'm not perfect, I'm not a guru, I don't have it all together, but I do understand human struggle. And I think when you're doing these books and you have these platforms, you have to be brave enough to talk about your own stuff.
When you're dealing with trauma, for whatever sort of trauma it may be, for some people it's a major catastrophe in their lives. For other people, it's living in a climate of fear like you did for so long. That can have physical ramifications as well as mental ramifications. 100%. I mean, the fight or flight instinct that you were probably on edge for all your life is there all the time. That can affect your body. And with your body comes your mind. They're very symbiotic in how you have to treat both, really, in order to kind of get a little bit more well in yourself.
I think it's a brilliant point, because I think, you know, we're getting much better at connecting the two. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realise what they're struggling with. They can be overwhelmed or not realise what's going on, but I think the body will always communicate. You know, there's a brilliant concept, the body holds a score. And I think sometimes if you don't know what's going on mentally, or you're kind of not sure what's going on emotionally, your body will communicate it in some way. And I think a lot of health stuff, often, you know, more than often, I worked in palliative care for a long time, and you never really are dealing with illness in itself. There's always a psychological component, and the two are always kind of interrelating together.
What can we do, though? I mean, if you mentioned, I mean, the therapy list, trying to get a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, a therapist in this country, the waiting lists, both private and public, are absolutely ridiculous. But when you're living through it, you need more immediate help, and if it's not there, are there kind of practical little things we can do to try? Because even if a chink of light, a little bit of hope is all many people need.
And I think you're 100% right. I mean, and I guess really that's what the book's about. I want this book to be a really hopeful book, because I think sometimes one adjustment can make an enormous change. So, for example, you know, if you're somebody who's really critical or gives yourself a hard time, and I think most people do that, most people's internal tone towards themselves is really quite harsh. And they don't realise it because they think, oh, that's just what I do and that's just who I am. Even if you can make that change, you know, that's a major step in the right direction. Or if you're somebody who thinks catastrophically or thinks the worst or gets caught up in negative patterns all the time, most people believe what they think is a fact, when actually it's not. You know, so learning to kind of manage, you know, how you deal with thoughts, learning how to deal with the more difficult emotions. I mean, getting started in that stuff can be revolutionary for most people. It can really move them forward.
One of the tips that you mentioned there is you talk about creating space in your day.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people will say, people who are watching this, you know, and it's an easy out to say, I haven't got time to be doing that. There's kids and there's work and there's school runs. But how important is that?
Oh, my God, I mean...
And when you say create space, how much time and space are you talking about?
I mean, in the book, so the book's in two. The first half is like a crash course in therapy. You know, what would you do in therapy? Second half is about how do you create 10 minutes of self-therapy in your day? And space is crucial, really, because, you know, when people give me that excuse and say, oh, I'm too busy, I haven't got time, I'll say to them, how long have you spent on social media today? You know, and you look at their phone and they're like, oh, 15, 20 minutes. Like, well, you do have time. You can make time. And for me, it's almost a bit like, you know, I use an analogy. I think it's like getting into a helicopter and what you're doing is you're literally pulling back from your day. And you're looking in on it and it's going to say, how am I thinking today?
Because I suppose if you don't make time for your health now, you're going to have to make time for your illness later, and it could be a hell of a lot more time making up for that.
Well, you know, it's like getting into your car, isn't it? I mean, you get into your car every day and you'll do your checks before you drive because it's a safe thing to do. But I think we kind of crash land into your day and we don't know what our thoughts are like. We don't know what's going on emotionally. We're not processing or dealing with anything. So, of course, you get to the end of the day and you're absolutely knackered and overwhelmed. And I guess really that's the important about stopping and thinking, OK, right, if I'm in a negative headset today and I'm being super critical or I'm thinking the worst about everything, well, then I don't have to do that.
And you mentioned the word overwhelmed. Like, one of the other tips you mentioned is about getting perspective. Like, when we think about the pandemic and, you know, it was that feeling of it's not just me, it's the whole world.
Yeah.
But it's about getting perspective into your own life, into your own day.
I think it's a really important one because, I mean, this is going to sound hard because I know people are struggling at the moment, but 90% of what you and I worry about in our lifetime won't come to anything.
No.
And I think that's a reality, but I think it's very difficult to get saturated in the bad news, and I think it's about that ability to be able to pull back a bit, like what I was saying earlier. You know, you haven't got control. None of us can control what's happening externally, but you and I have a choice every day to think, OK, I'm going to make a decision that I'm not going to focus on all the dark stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to look for the things that do...
Look for the light.
Does that make sense? I know it sounds really cliche,
and there's
but
practical
honestly...
ways of doing that as well that you discuss.
And that's all in the book.
Everything's in, you know, how to be your own therapist.
Oh, thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, likewise.
I'm going to be finishing this evening anyway. I don't know what the rest of you badly need it now. Of course, Owen's new book, How to Be Your Own Therapist, is now available at all good bookstores nationwide, also on ebook and on audio.
If you're on the Lewis this weekend and happen to spot, you know, Spider-Man, or you might spot an adult Spider-Man costume or anything like that, do not worry. It's not a midlife crisis. He's probably on his way to Comic Con.
Or she. Joining us now are a pair of veteran cosplay artists who build their own suits. Nathan Wheeler and Dan Lynch, along with Olivia Fahey from Dublin Comic Con. So it doesn't take a genius really to work out which ones are the cosplayers.
Definitely me.
Yeah. But like, I'm sorry, Dan. The work that has gone into your costume is absolutely amazing. For sci-fi nerds like me, I know you're a Predator.
Yes.
New movie out today. Are you a big fan? Obviously.
Massive fan. Been a fan since the first one.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to have a Predator suit, and I was lucky enough to meet some really nice people through the convention scene, and one of them he's actually a local lad, and he was building the suits, and I just said, yeah.
How long have you been doing this, though? The cosplay side
costuming, I started when I was maybe 11 years old. Halloween, like everyone else starts. I made a Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. My mum helped me make it, which was fantastic. Then it was just normal Halloween stuff. When I was about 20, I did Eric Draven from The Crow, and I went off, got a big long wig and did the leather jacket, did the whole thing. And then it's just kind of snowballed. But from 2013 with the lads in Dublin Comic Con and Arachnovex, they just, once we said this, like, yeah, this would be cool. And I actually have Michelangelo from the Turtles as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've been doing this suit now since, I think this was 2016.
So, assuming our viewers at home are looking going, is it October or what's the story? What is cosplay?
Cosplay is just getting to dress up and enjoy yourself as your favourite character.
As your favourite character.
Favourite character, yeah.
And it's something that you build up over time. Like,
yes.
You didn't probably have this costume sort of look when you started.
No,
9 years ago.
No.
With a sheet with 2 holes.
Basically, like the black bag, like the black bag vampires when we were kids. No, a lot of my stuff was my own characters. I have Wild West gunslinger, that kind of stuff. But it's all fabric. It's going into thrift stores, buying bits and pieces and doing it that way. And then you just get bigger and bigger and bigger and better and better.
No.
Nathan.
How you doing, guys?
Explain yourself, sir.
Just got a bit carried away, you know. I got into this a good few years ago, and I basically was at a Comic Con and I was walking around and a friend of mine goes, "You should do that." And I was like, no. And then I absolutely got into it. And then one costume turned into 2 costumes, turned into 3 costumes, turned into this absolute behemoth.
You have a workshop at home, don't you?
You made this yourself?
You made this himself in your workshop?
No, so I use the group Makerspace TOG, so that there's a massive amount of makerspaces around the country that you can go to.
What's a makerspace now?
It's basically a place where makers or cosplayers or artists can go, and then they can learn to build stuff, and they have the workshop that they can actually work on.
Oh, wow.
And there's a bunch of them around the country, and I used one here in Dublin, and then I just basically assembled this here.
And how long have you been involved in the whole scene? How long have you been going to Comic-Cons now?
So I started about 2018, and I kind of went to my first one, and then I started making more and more and more, and then so I've been in it since then, and this is my 4th big costume. Yeah. And they just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Who are you?
So if you know Warhammer,
I'm not familiar with Warhammer.
Not many people
would that be that? That's more of an axe.
That's more of an axe. Yeah. So like, it's basically a kind of a futuristic sci-fi kind of setting, and I saw.
Is it a game or is it a?
It's a game.
Yeah.
It's a tabletop game. There's a shop down on Liffey Street, and I saw some pictures. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, I should make my own. So then I made my own custom version.
Warhammer is the game where you would collect different... you're building a community, basically. Yes. And you're tech priest from the community of Warhammer. Yeah. Would you only keep to Dublin? Or obviously post-COVID now you're kind of able to travel. Would you be able to bring your costumes across the waters, maybe to London?
Yeah, I've been out to London once before. Not in this costume, but in another costume. And I've kind of travelled around the country. I've gone to a few events and judged some competitions. And it's been brilliant to kind of see the length and breadth of the country and all the different costumers.
Yeah. Olivia, now, Dublin Comic Con, it's like a whoopsie-daisy as I fall into a hole here. It's like a mecca for every sort of sci-fi fan, I call myself a nerd. I've no problem with it. Nerd around the country. We love this sort of stuff. Tell us what's happening there this year.
So essentially, this is literally when you can just let your geek flag fly. Like basically, like it is always such good crack. And we've got a number of guests that are coming by. I'm actually going to be hosting some of the media guest panels now over the course of the weekend with my colleague Andy McCarroll for the Geek Ireland team. It's going to be really, really good fun. There's also going to be a lot of fan panels that are taking place as well. So aside from just like our main guests with their Q&As, you can also head on and see people talk about Star Wars, dinosaurs. We've got Sean Markey, the Dino Guy, who is always packed, so if anyone is thinking of going, make sure you actually get a seat early. Yeah. He's always fully booked, but it's always good fun.
So we've illustrators as well, and if you're into manga, if you're into anime, which I know a lot of young kids are these days, there's something for everybody there in that field.
There really is, and Artist Alley is a place where we can actually give people who are like self-publishing or artists who just want to sort of show off their work, that they actually have a platform now that they can show it off on such a large scale, because there'll be like thousands of people going through the doors now over the weekend.
Elaine mentioned kids there as well. I know there's going to be kids at home, because if I'd seen this as a child, Power Rangers and Turtles were my big thing as a child. So there's kids at home watching this. Kids can go, they can bring the family along. It's a full family-friendly event.
Full family-friendly event, and even if the kids do want to even partake in some cosplay, there is actually the cosplay masquerade on the Sunday, and they can even like dress up and, you know, show off all of their wares.
It can be quite intimidating to try and do something on the level of what Dan and Nathan have done today. Is it intimidating to kind of start to get into cosplay and into kind of that world?
I've done it once.
You've only done it once?
Only once, and even then I picked Wonder Girl because I was like, that's going to be easy for me to DIY the heck out of this. So I had like black leggings, I had a little jumpsuity leotardy thing on underneath. I stuck gold stars made out of, silver stars just out of cardboard, just all up my legs, and I had a shield that I made out of a frisbee. Yeah. And that was literally my cosplay. And people actually knew who I was, so I was really impressed.
I tried to be Jessica Rabbit one Halloween. I ended up going a bit wrong. I ended up being Jessica Draggett. That's because I went way OTT in it.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah. So, here we go.
Oh, it's going on. It's going on.
It's time.
Predator is here. Look, she's in her element. I wouldn't mind. Elaine Crowley's in her element. I've seen you go out with worse, in fairness.
No, do you know what? You speak the truth. You speak the truth. Look at that. Can you imagine? For any fans coming up like this. I was actually in Disney Paris for May the 4th this year.
Brilliant.
And it was absolutely amazing. So Lads, I'm getting too carried away here.
Where can we find tickets?
So tickets are actually currently sold out, but we are going to be live streaming a lot of the panels as well. So if you head over to Dublin Comic Con social media pages, you'll be able to check it all out there.
Dan, Nathan, Olivia, thank you so much.
I'm going to dress up on Sunday. Sorry. Now, Dublin Comic Con kicks off tomorrow, August 6th, and will, of course, run all weekend long at the Convention Centre. But there's loads more next year anyway, so you can book ahead if you want to.
Absolutely. And after the break, styles that'll work if you're attending a summer wedding. We'll see you in soon. Now, welcome back. Do you not know what to wear to that wedding? Well, we've got you covered. Stylist Rosalind joins us with some of her favourite pieces. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. So we're still in the thick of the wedding guest season. Obviously, so many were rescheduled now up until this year, and we're right into the thick of it. So you're now looking at wedding guests and what we can wear.
It's the summer of love,
yes.
And I personally have loads of weddings. Have you got any weddings coming up?
I've got a couple.
It's fabulous to see.
Yeah.
But we are looking at the wedding guest fashion because it can be a little bit tricky. We have so many factors, from not wearing white is the #1 rule, to also not being too hot, to being comfortable. You're having your drinks, you're having your food, you want something breathable. Now you have to read the invitation. Is it formal? Is it semi-formal? But we've got you covered. So we're going to start off with Yumiko. And she's wearing this really, really fabulous showstopper of a look. And this would be for more a formal or a black tie wedding. We're going to start off with the jewellery. And all of the jewellery today is from Betty & Biddy, an online Irish retailer. And they have such fabulous pieces for really affordable prices. Like these gorgeous tassel grey silver earrings. They are so dramatic. I think, why not va-va-voom? If you're going out, you may as well make a statement.
You actually can't see how sparkly and how kind of like statement they are on screen there, I'm seeing, but they are beautiful and they're really, really blinging out there.
And really simple. And then I just paired it with a really simple floating diamond, because if you do have big earrings like that, you can go simple on the necklace. So sequins for summer, I am here for it. A lot of people think they have to put their sequins away at Christmas.
Christmas,
but I think sequins is fabulous in the summer, especially in this beautiful mint colour. This dress is from Oh Hello Clothing, another online Irish brand. And the great thing about shopping these Irish brands is if you go to Zara or one of the high street stores, you might see someone in the same dress. But a lot of the times, these are a little bit more niche, so you won't be running so much. I wouldn't say you'd run into somebody wearing exactly the same outfit.
And the draping on the shoulder is lovely because you can kind of cover bits and bobs that you may not want to.
I know, and the cowl neck is always so flattering, especially if you have a bigger bust. It's really, really flattering.
Moving on to Kerry Nicole now.
And Kerry Nicole is actually getting married on this week. We're all going to Italy for it. So,
Italy!
Yes, we're very excited.
Congratulations.
So congratulations are in order, and for today she is the guest. And again, the bling earrings, we added all the sparkles because Betty & Biddy actually have this beautiful bridal range specifically for guests and brides-to-be. Really affordable pieces. Again, this is the 4-leaf clover. Very obviously a lucky charm on your big day, a really beautiful piece, very elegant and simple. I love this dress. It's all about colour this season, and this is the most colourful dress I could find. All of the different hues, from the pinks and the reds and the blues. You could definitely add your accessories to match. Pop in a blue bag, a pair of orange shoes, things like that. Really pick up the colours of the dress.
What's the
this
fabric?
is from Get That Trend. So this is fully lined, and it is a polyester blend, so it doesn't crease too much. It's also really breathable. It's got these gorgeous ruched details on the sleeves. So again, you're not going to get sweat patches. You can loosen. It's a true wrap dress. It's not a faux wrap dress. So you can actually loosen it up, which is really key, especially when you're looking for a wrap dress. Always look for a true wrap dress. And it's just so comfortable. You can have your 3-course meal, then you can dance with your friends, and you won't be overheated. There'll be no sweat patches. And if you drop a bit of red wine, I don't think you would see it.
You're not going to notice it that much. And also, you could throw a belt with this as well if you were trying to jazz it up in different ways.
Oh, yes, 100%. You could definitely accessorize this dress in so many different ways. Again, a really wearable dress, and it'll take you to so many occasions, obviously not just the wedding guest. And last but not least, we have the gorgeous Ali, and she's wearing this full look from Pamela Scott. And we're going to start off again with the jewellery. We went for this multicoloured clear glass hoop. They do actually have a gorgeous range of hoops there at Betty & Biddy with loads of different colours, from a turquoise to a deep blue. But we went for the turquoise for something fun, to bring out all, or multicoloured, to bring out all the different colours of the dress. This full look is from Pamela Scott, in stores nationwide and online at PamelaScott.com. And this is for more of the layered look. On days like this, when you need a little bit of warmth, a blazer is your best friend.
I was just thinking, because obviously you're not always going to get the good weather for the wedding.
Exactly.
So if you wanted to add pieces and keep yourself
100%. And as you know, a lot of the times you'd have the white or the beige blazer, and that's obviously the rule number one: no white to the wedding. So these are perfect colours. They've got the blue, they have a lovely pink, and it really does bring out the different colours of the floral dress. Again, this is a gorgeous day dress, and I've matched the bag there with a lovely pink, a pop of pink, to bring out the pink flowers of the dress. Again, a really, really comfortable, breathable. It's got the angel sleeve, it's got a belt at the back, so it does cinch you in. And as Ali is showing us here, it has pockets, which is so handy. Pop in your lip gloss, your cards, or whatever
It's
you
more
need.
of a comfort thing, I always find, especially even for me as a man wearing male fashion. You know, to have the comfort of just the pocket is almost like a comfort blanket or something.
Exactly,
like that.
And even when you're posing for pictures and you don't know what to do with your hands, pop them in your pocket, I always say.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really kind of handy way to not look awkward.
And the colour scheme is beautiful, the way you've mixed the pink in the bag, the purple in the bag with the blue as well. It's lovely.
Yeah, and it's a lovely length. It is, Ali is quite tall, so it would be a midi length dress, but it's just very flattering. Again, really, really comfortable, and a perfect day to night dress.
You'll have 3 more looks a little bit later on if we're still going
looks
for our wedding guests. That's great. Thank you so much,
Thank
Roz.
you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. Lots more to come before Dermot and Alison take over at 10 o'clock.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. We've got that lovely Friday feeling here. We hope it's the same for you.
Now, still to come, to avoid being that person in the queue for security, we've got tips on what toiletries you need when travelling and how to pack them. I hate them people.
Now, we've got a new chef in the kitchen this morning cupping up a nice slice of spiced rice. How concise.
You're a poet and you know it. And if you want an outfit to take you all the way from Here Comes the Bride to Rock the Boat, well, there's 3 great looks to wear to your friend's wedding.
Now, let's take a final look at your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. Their headline: Wind farm revenues multiply as electricity prices soar. The paper details how revenue from big power companies' wind farms are multiplying as electricity prices soar. Official estimates show.
My fight for life, that's the front page of the Irish Independent. Former Taoiseach Brian Cowan spoke for the first time about his long recovery from stroke to the paper.
The Examiner leads with siblings drown on Kerry Beach. The paper gives an account of a brother and sister who died in a swimming tragedy in Kerry yesterday, as the man's shocked teenage son looked on from the beach.
On to the tabloids now, and swimming horror on Kerry Beach is also the front page of the Daily Mail.
The Mirror also go with that story. Their headline: Brother and sis drown in Hall's horror.
The Sun's headline reads: Delaney's newborn baby joy amid the tears. Former FAI chief John Delaney yesterday told at getting to introduce his late mum to his newborn daughter before she died.
The Star goes with that same story. Their headline: Glad mum got to meet my new baby.
And the Herald leads with swim coach on child exploitation charges. The paper reporting that a swimming coach has appeared in court charged with the sexual exploitation of 3 girls.
Well, I tell you what, you've woke the nation with your shoe story this morning.
I'm telling you, I frequently do.
Holy moly. Can I just dive in with this one straight away?
I think you should.
Linda, good morning, Linda.
I love Linda.
If you can hear us over your shoes. Linda says, I have a serious shoe fetish. I think I counted 200 pairs. Travelling is a disaster. I usually bring about 10 pairs, and like Elaine, end up wearing 2 pairs max. But it's just in-case situation.
Oh my God, look at all those shoes.
Ireland's Imelda Marcos, look at that.
Now, the OCD
it's not
in
that
me...
bad. The OCD in you wants to sort them out.
Yeah, I think if you sorted them out and had a gorgeous closet... to have them in.
Where can you get a good shoe closet? Because can you get one that rolls under the bed? Because I have a ridiculous amount of shoes. I have like all my boots and boots and boots and boots, about 5 rows of boots, and then I've all my kind of good shoes in a bin, not a bin bag. It's in a basket, and I have my everyday shoes lined under the dressing table, and then I've my work shoes in the dressing room there. And I recycled. I donated about 100 pairs of shoes to charity the last time I moved. I have a lot of shoes, but you see, the thing is now you do only wear a few pairs.
You've
every
only
day.
got 2 feet, love.
I know, but sure, don't I like to be wearing the nice shoes on the telly box?
Yeah,
you know what's a good idea?
I'm going to wear my favourite shoes tomorrow.
Now, Paul Chloe texted in.
Yes.
Yeah.
My boyfriend bought 6 pairs of shoes on holidays, 2 of which were in my suitcase, so I would have to disagree with women bringing more shoes on holidays.
See, I told you. I bring, like I said, when we go away, I bring about 6, 7 pairs. Eddie will have 2.
Well, Tracy says, I'm just back from 5 nights in Connemara.
Yeah.
I brought 2 pairs of runners, 2 pairs of sandals, flip-flops, 5 pairs of going-out shoes, and I wore my runners for the week.
So 9 pairs of shoes.
And Aileen says, I'm loving Aileen. She's a girl after my own heart. Since watching Ireland AM at the start of the summer, I bought 28 pairs of shoes, 8 of which I'm bringing to Lisbon this Monday. We do have nice shoes on Ireland AM, it has to be said.
See, that's what it is.
Not 28 slice pans this summer, but not 28 pairs of shoes.
Right.
Holy moly.
You're missing out on a lot. Shoes always fit, you see. They'll always fit.
Not in your wardrobe. After the break, we're looking at the travel essentials you can't go on holidays without. Stay right here with us.
Oh, calling the kettle black there. You're very welcome back now. Are you lucky enough to still have a foreign holiday to look forward to this year? Well, when travelling, nothing can cause more stress than making sure you have all your toiletries packed into that Ziploc bag going through security. And for security officers, they're going mad as well, bringing through cases as well, so it's important to do this.
They're weapons. But fear not, our resident beauty expert, Triona McCarthy, is here to show us exactly what you need and, more importantly, what you don't.
But someone's bag is going to get searched the next time they're going through security, and mine isn't, because I've been the go-go. Triona, I have to say, you outdid yourself today, because I've travelled a couple of times this year and you are literally picking what I would need on my holidays as well. It's a genius hack. You've so many genius hacks.
Well, the very first, speak of hacks, let's get straight into them. The very first thing that I do before I'm going anywhere is I will ring ahead to the Airbnb or the hotel and I'll find out, do you guys have dental kits? Like they often have dental kits with the toothpaste and everything. So that's one less thing you need. There's often shampoo, conditioner, body wash. You don't need them all then if they're in the hotel. Like I love to carry as little as possible. I always have a basket at home. I have a drawer actually at home where whenever there's a gift with purchase, I am straight in there.
Samples, basically.
Even if so even if I was rich, I still want to wait until there's a really good gift with purchase on. And then I load up on all the expensive things that I can't really afford. But then you get all like tiny little mini, Lancome are great because you get the tiny mini mascaras, like a lip gloss, your creams, day and night creams, your serums. That's everything you need.
And they're all tiny. And they're under the 100 mils and you can pop them anywhere.
And then my other top tip, for goodness sake, stock up on the plastic bags, the little baggies, and have some at home and put everything in the bag before you go, even go near the airport, so you know what fits.
And it's gels, it's lip glosses, it's all that sort of stuff. So do not have your makeup bag and then you're going through security, beep, 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 you're taken out and you're just blocking up the lines. Don't be doing that.
And stay out of Cork Airport as well, everyone. I believe everyone is going down to my local airport.
How very dare they?
Because they're all trying to get
I've heard awful reports. My own husband is flying out of Cork today. But anyhow, that's just a joke in West Cork at the moment.
But first off now, we do have some very good things that are available now, and the decanting sets.
Decanting, this one is $3.99 from Boots. Like, I love the Sea Vite body lotion. And I'm not going to bring the full thing with me. So you literally get your little jar, squeeze it into it. It has the little even squeezy out tube as well. Fill it up, and again, it will fill into your bag. So that's $3.99. They have all sorts of things you can put, whatever you really must have.
And they also have different versions of those, so you can get kind of bigger ones or whatever is going to suit your need when you're going away on holidays. You can get the bigger sets.
I see a black belt in packing over there. Yes,
I'm a fold and roller. My friends would tell you. So when I go on tour, perfect.
Well, I have another tip as well. When you're packing clothes, lay all your clothes out on the bed and then lay out all your money on the bed and then halve the amount of clothes and double the amount of money when you're going on holidays. So that's fine. So talking of decanting, but if there is something you must bring with you. If there's one thing I would say,
multi-use.
Multi-use. Always look for multi-use products. But the Nuke's multi-use huile prodigieuse, which means extraordinary oil, basically, is phenomenal. It is... Here, like it just smells like...
I actually have a tiny one that I was given in a Christmas decoration one year, and it's brilliant for bringing away because you don't need that much, and it sprays on as a body oil. You can use it on your hair. You can use it everywhere.
You can use it in the bath.
I didn't know you could use it in the bath.
Use it in the bath and it makes a lovely bath as well. I use it instead of a fragrance because it literally smells
like
summer in a bottle.
did you say it was a fragrance?
Oh, I forgot how nice it is.
Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? So use it in your hair, as you said, your eyebrows. Use it on your body, put it in your bath. It's 100 millilitres, this bottle, which is good value.
Just under time.
Yeah. And then we... so moving on then, the French just know how to do it. This is the Embryolise Lait Cream concentrate. This is phenomenal. It has big, heavy-hitting ingredients in it. It comes in your different sizes as well. But basically, it's a moisturiser. It's a face mask. You can even use it. It was dermatologists that actually invented it. And you can use it on children. You can use it with eczema. It's very good for post-shaving, Simon. If we decide to shave you in a little while, it's a very good shaving
She's threatening to attack
him
with razor. I'm not joking. I'm not joking
it is
at all.
such a lovely, it's so beautiful, the cream. It is just it's a heavy-hitting ingredient.
For all the family, hypoallergenic, all that sort of stuff, so it'll be perfect for everybody.
Absolutely perfect for that. Moving on
This is genius.
Oh,
yes.
my goodness.
I know you were saying about you can phone the hotel and you can see what they have in the hotel, but sometimes the products might not be up to scratch. This is right up my street
So
now.
you absolutely, Garnier have brought out their solid soaps, which work on your hair to wash your hair, but also your body. And so
it's a solid shampoo. It's not a liquid, so you're grand.
It is, and you can use that as your, to put it into it afterwards. You don't need it. But you know what? I find it great it has this kind of fast rinse technology. Don't ask me how they do it. So if I use it on my children, it rinses out of their hair really quickly, so I have them in and out of the bath much faster. And I read somewhere that there's 520 million shampoo bottles thrown out every year, so it's so sustainable. It smells lovely. There are loads of different flavours or varieties, and it just, again, throw it into your bag. You don't need to bring
your hair
bottles
squeaky
with
and
you.
child-friendly as well, you said.
And child-friendly. It's great for my children.
Now, if you're keeping away from the liquids as well, we need a deodorant stick.
Deodorants. So there's loads of different ones. I like this wild one. I've been seeing it all. Everyone on the internet on Instagram seems to have it. Butwin and Boots. They're refillable. The case you keep forever, and then you refill it. And, again, solid and...
Refillable.
Refillable, yes.
So that's really good for sustainability as well, because we're all so much aware now of our
This is also sustainable. And
as we go on our holidays in an aeroplane, but
Exactly. And who was the worst? Was it Taylor Swift?
Poor old Tay-Tay.
And Kris Jenner leaked it or something. But anyway, then moving on to very important stuff like our makeup. So, and SPF. And this Zoe broad spectrum... it's a powder with SPF.
How does that work?
I know. So it literally has a little capsule. Again, you just pop it in the back there.
I've never
and
seen
a
powder with an SPF.
This is the dark one. Oh, it's so good.
Is it a foundation or a bronzer or what?
So you've put on your makeup in the morning and you're out and you're suddenly getting sweaty and oily and you feel like your SPF is worn off and you just rub that on all over your face and you have massive... Oh, look at Paul! He's your toe. It's so good.
But the powder's inbuilt into it, so
the powder, the SPF, it also has blurring technology in it, so it's gorgeous on the skin.
Good for the selfies.
Yeah, so if you have open pores...
Ditch the filters.
Yeah, I got it in Sculpture Clinic, Dr. George Nima out in Sandy Cove. He sells them. There's a light, a medium and a dark. The light one is fabulous if you don't even want to wear makeup, if you just literally want to put your
Especially
SPF.
on your holidays, you just kind of want to have like you said, the filter, the blurred filter.
That's it. Yeah. So I just brought the darker one so you could see how it covers. Waterproof. It's phenomenal.
That's covered the oil you had on as well.
Fly through these now. What are we next?
This one, I have another one in my pocket here. You can have a go of that one. I have one in my pocket. Literally. So it's Gen C. It's this new brand.
Lip and cheek.
There's no cuts. It's gencbeauty.com, I think it is. And it's the tiniest little bit.
So it's a lip.
It's a lip, a cheek. You can put it on your eyes. You just need the teeniest amount. And the colours are oh, look at her doing the...
That's actually lovely. I was afraid you were going to look like Christy
I was a reporter back in the day. I can put my makeup on in a fast-moving car.
Look at you doing it straight into the camera. You're brilliant.
And then our last ones we've got, so
that's Gen C. And then we have
the palette of dreams.
And it's literally called the Palette of Dreams. Lift it up there. You're near to it. Okay. So it's the Palette of Dreams. It's Sarah Carey. And it has everything you want. Like
it's about time someone made this.
Isn't it just... Yeah, there's been English brands who've made them. And finally, we have an Irish girl who's just knocked it out of the park doing this one. Huge mirror. mirror, so you can do all your makeup.
And you have the base, and you have all the different daytime ones.
Yeah.
You have the nighttime one.
All you
the
need
lovely
is your
peach
mini
multi-use.
Yeah,
You have the sculpting
and they're
one.
dry. Yeah, look at you, the pro there as well. And you just bring your mini mascara, and then you have your little foundation, and then you can pop it all into this bag. Vogue Williams and Sarah Carey did a collab. You can stick everything that is here
We have
in
all
there,
the brushes
and then
we
all
need
your
there.
brushes. Look at the brushes
Absolutely.
at the end; they're all double-ended as well, which I love. All the ones towards the other end
sorry.
are double-ended, so that you can just. I love everything you need.
And
is
guess
there.
what? She's from Mallow. Genius girl that she is.
lady.
Not that I'm biased, but there you go.
Trina, thank you so much. Okay.
After the
Let's
break,
celebrate.
there's no alcohol in these products, I swear to God.
Louis Walsh
We're
is
having
watching us.
a dollop of Jollof Rice. Or Jollof Rice, I think. Don't go anywhere.
Inspired by nature, powered by light. Becco Harvest Fresh sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
It's like being in school. Hiya! Welcome back. We have taken to the kitchen to cook up a Nigerian treat for all occasions, from a lazy lunch to your wildest dinner parties.
And joining us now with her recipe for jollof rice served with filleted chicken is Edziemi from Mama Shee. Good morning.
Good morning,
Hi,
Edziemi.
Paul. Good morning, Simon. How are you?
We are very well. We are very hungry as usual, Edziemi. What have you got for us?
Okay, so this morning I'm going to be making the popular Nigerian jollof rice.
Okay.
And so I'm going to make it very nice and easy for everybody.
Excellent.
So the first thing that goes into the pot here is the oil.
Okay.
So
that's a good. It's a good dollop of oil.
Generous portion.
A generous portion, we should say.
So
this is a very traditional Nigerian dish.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And very popular. So I'm going to add my onions.
Okay. And in terms of Nigerian food, Edziemi, do you think that not enough of us are eating Nigerian food? We're not aware of the different cuisine.
Absolutely. At the moment, yes.
Okay.
And this is what I'm trying to project into the society. So
Okay.
bringing the taste of Nigeria to Ireland.
Well, we're happy
and
to taste
beyond.
anything.
Oh, so the onions are going in.
The onions have gone in.
Into the bit of
and
oil.
then I'm going to allow that
just to
to
cook a
heat.
little bit. Yeah.
Oh, it's heating up there nicely. You can even just even smell that. I'm like,
I can smell the spices.
Can you?
Yeah. Smell the spices. So there are spices in this, Edziemi, but it's not hot.
It depends on how you want to make it. You
Okay.
can make it very hot.
No, thanks.
But this one is not hot. This is
Good.
actually sweet. So if you want to make it not very hot, you just do a little bit of the Scotch bonnet here.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
so
yeah,
in this
yeah,
mix,
yeah.
I have just one of this. But some people would love their...
One is a lot for me.
Don't worry.
So
I
what's
have
that? Is that
loads of tomatoes there.
Excellent.
So this is a mix of everything we have here. So my bell pepper, the onions, and the tomatoes, and that is it.
And you
So
got
it's
chilies
all
and
blended.
peppers. Oh, yeah. So you blitzed all of those down to make
Yeah.
this kind of sauce.
Yeah.
And they're going in on top of your onions.
And if you were
Okay.
lazy, you could obviously get the pre-made, the tomatoes, the...
No,
But you don't
be
want to
doing
do that.
No,
You
make
want
it
to
yourself, Paul.
I know I'm being lazy, they say.
Yeah.
That's why you're the cook and I'm the eater.
Yeah. Right, so what's next?
So
Edziemi?
now,
What's gonna
after
cook
the
with
then,
it? Yeah.
I'm going to add my seasonings.
Okay.
So I have here, my 2 spoons of thyme.
Thyme, okay.
And then I have my rosemary,
Lovely.
and turmeric.
Lovely. And is jollof rice, are there different, everybody has their own jollof rice recipe, or is there a standard one?
We have a basic way of cooking, but definitely you can make it as rich as you want, and you can add anything at all. So this is my paste that is going in now.
That's tomato puree,
Yeah,
okay.
that's my tomato puree that is going in. So...
And I like the fact that you said you can make it as hot. It's kind of like the different variations.
Yeah.
We were talking before break and we were kind of saying it's kind of like a stew situation. You can do it whatever which way you choose to make it.
So we allow that to cook for about 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to add in the rice. So this rice is already pre-washed.
Yeah.
And some people boil, they parboil their rice.
Okay.
But what I do, I wash my rice with hot water.
And what type of rice are you using?
So you can use basmati.
Okay.
But this is long grain rice.
Okay.
So
you just need to make sure it's washed before it goes in there.
You wash it, and yeah.
Okay.
And that'll cook then, obviously.
And then, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you mix it all together.
Beautiful.
And if you were to pre-cook that, would you leave it until last, or can you just throw it in there and just let it cook itself?
No, you leave it in.
Yes.
Leave it in.
Yes, you leave it in, and then it will heat up for. This is going to cook now for another 15 minutes, and it will be ready.
Okay.
And because you have parboiled your rice, so I'm just going to add a little
bit of water.
Water, about 300 ml in this one.
Perfect.
So it depends on the quantity.
So that just cooks away then for about 15 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
And that cooks,
simple.
Yes, and that cooks away here. So
Okay.
I have all my seasoning.
Okay.
I think I'm missing one of this here.
That's all right.
So this will be, so this is like the North seasoning and all of them. So it's just you can have a whole different type of seasoning, you know?
Okay.
It depends on what you want.
Is that like an all-purpose kind of seasoning that you put in there?
All-purpose, yes.
All-purpose, right,
All-purpose.
So that just sits and mixes away there until
it boils.
Until cooked. And where are we going to now?
So now we are serving with chicken.
Okay.
So
the oil is back.
So again, you can choose if you want to have protein in there. If you want to have chicken, what else could you put in there?
It could be for vegetarian, so you could just have it with your salad, and you could just have it with the chicken.
Okay.
Or we could have it with lamb. You could have it with anything. I'm going to add my onions again.
Okay,
into
lovely.
this.
Into your bit of oil.
And you traditionally serve that with the salads, Edziemi, do you?
What did you say?
You traditionally serve this with a salad, would you?
It depends on people's choices.
Yeah.
I brought a salad because a lot of love green. Just
Yeah, and I love salads.
You know,
Look at me.
girls,
We're totally okay
we just
without
want
the
to add a bit of salad or veg to our food. So while
this is to cook our chicken now. Okay.
Yeah.
And what type of chicken are you using? Are you using a fillet?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw in a
little bit of your mix.
Yes. This is still the same chili that I've blended together.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw it in.
And do you think Irish people are getting a bit more adventurous
They
in terms of
are loving jollof rice right now. They are loving. In fact, it's become like an addition for some people.
Really?
Oh, they are. A lot of my customers will be Irish people, so
because they just want to try something different and try something.
I guess so, and it's good to explore.
But also, Edziemi, what I like about it is that the dish is simple.
Yes.
It's very simple, and that's what I tell people.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes when I want to make for my friends, so you just add a bit of veg.
Okay.
So peppered. So add a bit of that to it, and then I go back to my seasonings.
So
the same thing. The same thing I'm going to add.
And that's all to keep the flavour moving.
And to keep the
So your all-purpose, your rosemary,
my
your
all-purpose is gone in.
So you're making the same two dishes either side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I noticed though, Edziemi, that there's no salt and pepper. You're seasoning with the spices.
Yeah, because your seasonings are very high in salt.
Yeah.
So you don't need the salt.
Very good.
And God,
you learn something new every day.
So you allow this.
Now, do you want me to help you serve it, my love?
Absolutely, please.
Look at time
and then
to
we
eat.
we throw in the chicken.
Right, so your chicken goes in on top of that.
And is that been marinated or is it just?
Has that cooked already?
This is pre-cooked.
Oh, it's pre-cooked.
So it depends. You can grill it. You can boil it. So this is boiled.
Okay.
Just a little. You just steam it.
And you're just putting it in here to reheat
and
it.
Then to reheat, and that is all. And this is all. That is it. So
let's eat, baby. Let's eat. So we've got 3 gorgeous pots here.
Oh wow!
Now, you want me to do this properly, don't you?
Yeah.
It has to look nice, doesn't it?
We want it to look really nice.
So the rice is going into the bowl. Look at the rice.
It's taking on all of that tomato and chilli and pepper.
Can I have the bowl?
You can, my love. Oh, see, I'd make a bag of that now. I'm glad you're doing that. And then your veg. So you're serving with some vegetables and then with the chicken as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You hungry?
Oh, I'm starving. Like, literally, the mouth is watering off of me. I'm going to go straight in on this.
I'm going to serve you this and then you can taste, OK?
Yeah, I'll do that. Don't you worry.
Thank you, my darling.
You can leave out the veg, I'll be all right.
No. You have to have your vegetables.
I'm joking.
You eat that and I taste. Edziemi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Smells gorgeous. Full recipe details are up on our website, or you can check out more from Edziemi at mamashee.com. Well, spicy!
She has a kick to her.
Oh, that's the Scotch bonnet. Thank you very much,
After the break,
Edziemi.
we'll have more guest styles. See you very, very soon.
Hot, baby, it's hot.
Inspired by nature, powered by light. Beko Harvest Fresh sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Welcome back. We're still in the throes of wedding season, but do you know what you're going to wear?
Not a white dress anyway. Stylist Rosalind Lipsett has more advice for wedding guest dressing. Good morning, Rosalind.
Good morning. How are you today? The sun's come out.
It has. The sun's come out and the colours are coming out as well. And it's all about the splash of colour, of course, this season for weddings.
Yes, definitely. And I think we're just embracing colour so much. As, you know, all the weddings are back. It's a perfect excuse to put on our glam rags and get out there again. And we're going to start off with this gorgeous look, and all the jewellery today is from bettyandbiddy.com, an Irish online retailer. And this is such a beautiful detail here. It's a hoop with a bit of a diamante and gold, and then it's got the pearl drop, which is really, really exquisite, really flattering as well on the jawline, and just a beautiful dainty piece. Again, all the pieces are so affordable.
Covering all angles there, a pearl, a bit of diamond and a bit of gold.
I know, just why not have it all? Now, this is the horseshoe necklace, which I absolutely adore. Obviously, it symbolises good luck, but it's also just a really gorgeous little piece of detail to add to your neckline. This full look is from PamelaScott.com and in stores nationwide. And we're going to start again with the blazer. As I mentioned earlier, blazers are just perfect to throw on if the evenings get a little bit nippier. This already has the cinched up 3/4 length sleeves, so you don't need to roll up your sleeves. And it comes in a range of different colours, from white to blue and to this beautiful pink colour here.
That pink is so in.
Yeah,
we're blaming the Barbie movie for it, but it's beautiful. And I love the way the blazer picks up the pink in the dress as well. And I have to say, I have outfits from Pamela Scott that I bought 10, 15 years ago, and I still have them. They're great wardrobe staples.
Oh, well, I'll be delighted to hear that. They really are. They actually always have the feeling, making the woman feel comfortable in mind.
And that's always been there. That's always kind of been their guide, is to make a woman feel comfortable in what she's wearing.
Yeah, exactly. And they always go with the same kind of, you know, like they know what suits people. It's not really about the trend. It's about having pieces that you will wear over and over again. And then again, this gorgeous bag, again, to just jazz up the outfit with the pearl detail. And this dress is so beautiful. It also has pockets. And we mentioned earlier, we love a pocket. Even for posing for a picture, it's always handy to put your hands in the pocket. It's got the tie belt at the back, and it is a midi dress with a really nice loose sleeve, so you won't get overheated. And
the colour in that is gorgeous, particularly with Ali's fabulous tan, I have to say.
I know, she looks like she just got off the airplane, which I think she actually did. But, so the jewellery here, I absolutely love these gold coloured glass hoops. I went for a really bright pop of electric blue, as I just think it just adds so much like it just adds that little extra pop with the orange. They go so well together. And then I added the star detail from their star collection at Betty Biddy. Again, a really beautiful detail. The gold is beautiful with the orange and the blue. It just all pairs so nicely together. Let's talk about this dress. So this dress is from GetThatTrend.com, another Irish brand. And as I mentioned, it's great to wear Irish because, like, you know, in the high streets, you won't be running into as many people the same outfits. This has a lovely polka dot detail. It's really comfortable, very flattering, true to size. It's got this gorgeous belt detail, so it cinches you in. It's a nice light material, but it's not, you know, it's not going to crease when you sit down. It's got this kind of slit here on the sleeve, and it's got this puff sleeve. So it's very comfortable, again, breathable. You're not going to get those sweat patches if you, you know, if you have that breathability and you have a little bit of space in your arm.
I've not seen a puff sleeve like that or a print like that, you know, in the last kind of couple of years.
The sleeves are back. I feel like everyone is just extra.
They're not really the kind of leg of lamb sleeves quite yet, but the puffs are very much in vogue.
And it's a very flattering look. It really adds to that hourglass shape. Then it's got a lovely slit detail, and it is actually probably more of a maxi or a midi dress. So Ali is quite tall, so it's just hitting above her knee. Now, look at this absolutely gorgeous dress. Have you ever seen the Kate Hudson movie?
Yes,
How to Guide 10 Days.
Just missing the massive, huge yellow diamond necklace in that movie, I think.
Yes, exactly. She's channeling her Kate Hudson here. And again, the beautiful jewellery is from the bridal collection at Betty & Biddy. This gorgeous drop pearl with the beautiful diamante detail. It's just so classic, and it would be perfect for a bride or for the wedding party. Again, I went really simple here with the necklace. This is the 3-diamond necklace from Betty & Biddy, and it's just really elegant. It's not too much.
Frost yourself.
Frost yourself, exactly. I know.
You need to do a bit of that.
And then we're going to go on to this gorgeous dress. Again, this is fully lined, which is really important. So you're not going to see any kind of creases of your, any undergarments. It's got a side zip, and it's a lovely stretch, and it also has this kind of elastic detail around.
I was going to ask about under the actual, the I don't know what you call the kind of cuff at the top.
Yeah.
It does have something to kind of keep it in place.
It's got like a piece of elastic, so it doesn't fall down, which is really, really important. Again, you do need to give it a good steam, but when you do, I feel like it'll just sit perfectly on your body. It also comes in a gorgeous lilac and a beautiful pink, but I just think the yellow is just so fresh for summer, and I think it'll be stunning for a wedding.
Especially in a blonde.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. And you know what? It would look beautiful on a darker girl as well. Like, I think it's absolutely stunning. And you know what? It's the kind of dress you can layer up. You can put a blazer on over it.
Even a denim jacket, just to kind of, if you were going to be for more casual or something like that, you could throw a denim.
The satin dress is actually such a key capsule piece at the moment, and it goes right into winter. You could team it with a knit.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. You can pop it over. It's kind of like a sweat.
Raz, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, coming up in the morning, the women proving age is just a number. We're meeting the Silver Swans, an over 55 ballet troupe.
Oh.
Are you?
Well,
Go on, keep talking. Well, sure, are you tired all the time? I am exhausted. I am sure we've advice on the correct foods to boost your energy levels.
All that plus the news, sport, weather, and chocolate chip cookies in the kitchen. We're back in the morning at 9, but of course we've heard from some friends.
By the way, that chicken. Oh my.
What did you think? Did you think it was spicy?
Oh, hot. The rice was, but the chicken.
Forget about the chicken, lads. It's all about the shoes this morning. All about the shoes this morning. Have you ever tried this for storing your shoes? Because I do have a shoe problem. I freely admit it, and I'm looking for decent shoe storage. Very cheap and very effective. Marie has a picture there. Oh, yes. I had one of those years ago. I need probably 5 of those at the moment to store my shoes.
You need a 40-foot container.
Okay.
Sounds of it.
Hang on. You think I'm bad? Margaret says, I bring a 10 kg case full of shoes when I'm going away. No, I'm not that bad.
Oh, wow.
Not that. A 10 kilogram case.
Just full of shoes?
Yeah.
Can I give you a tip?
Yes.
When we moved back to Dublin, me and Eddie, I used to have my shoes in like this. Eddie then showed me that if you turn one back that way, they fit in better. Oh God, I'm late. I'm old hack here.
Oh God, yeah.
Anne says when I go on holidays, I have to have a shoe in every colour to match every outfit. Just in case.
Or multicoloured shoes are always.
Just in case of what?
You never know.
But don't bring as many outfits then.
He doesn't get it.
You're typical, man.
Typical.
And I'm not a misandress, but
Why would you need any?
We'll see you in the morning.
Right. Chocolate chip cookies tomorrow.
I'll take a picture of my shoes.
Have a lovely
tomorrow.
Friday.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.